Should the Dolphins draft for best player available, or do they need to fill some of these needs? Plus, how did Miami's offensive line actually get worse than it was last season? We talk about it all on today's show. Let's get after it. You're listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the most listened to daily Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
Miami's got the Dolphins, the greatest of all.
Come on, Dolphins fans. Time to fins up.
We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl. Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one.
Hello, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? And thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast on this Monday, April the 14th. I am your host, Mike Oliva, flying solo today. And on today's show, we're going to talk a little bit about the Miami Dolphins draft strategy and what it should be here in about a little over a week from now as we are closer to the NFL draft. We're inching closer to the NFL draft. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about Miami Dolphins offensive line as well. But before we get to that, first off, anyone here watching on YouTube, do me a favor, smash that like button right now. Smash it. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please be sure you are subscribed so you don't miss any of our content that we put up on YouTube, whether it's a short or one of our shows that we broadcast live or a show like this that's not live. Also, want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's show, Caneswear. Everyone go to the website, caneswear.com, for the very best and most affordable Miami Dolphins apparel on the internet. You need a jersey. You need a hat. You need a hoodie, a jacket, a t-shirt, a golf shirt, shorts, swim trunks, anything with a Miami Dolphins logo on it. You go to the website, caneswear.com. And yes, they ship internationally as well. So if you're in Canada, Mexico, the United Kingdom, Germany, France, they will ship it straight to you. No worries about that. And of course, they don't have just Miami Dolphins apparel. They got stuff for the Miami Hurricanes, the Florida Marlins, the Miami Heat, the Florida Panthers, Florida State, Florida, and most of the college teams, if not all the college teams in the state of Florida. But if you're listening to this and you're a fan of the Dolphins, you're going there for some great Miami Dolphins apparel. The website, caneswear.com. Check it out. Also, please be sure you're signed up for Dolphins Talk Extra, our Patreon service. Go to patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. It's $3 a month. You get access to a private message board. You get access to bonus podcasts from myself, Josh, and Aaron. Some of those podcasts are extra podcasts about the Dolphins. Some are about random topics like Major League Baseball, the NBA, wrestling, pro wrestling, music, television, whatever. We have a bunch of bonus audio segments and video segments there. But really, the best part of signing up, as well as whenever we have a contest, whenever we have a prize to give away, whether it's an autograph or a piece of Miami Dolphins memorabilia or whatever, you're automatically in it. So for $3 a month, you're in it into all of our contests and you have a chance to win all of our prizes. And we try to run contests like every few weeks, if not once a month. So Dolphins Talk Extra, you get all that bonus extra content, patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. All right, let's talk about the Miami Dolphins and this draft here coming up in a little over a week. Because anytime we talk about the draft, there's the age-old debate. Are you going to draft for need or draft best player available? And I wrote an article on this that's going to be released on DolphinsTalk.com either late Monday night or first thing Tuesday morning. I'm not sure when it's going to be released yet. But I want to go more in depth about this here. Because in a perfect world, if you have a quote-unquote good team, you want to head into the draft with only a couple of needs. Therefore, you're only looking to fill a hole or two if possible to sort of make your team complete to where you think, okay, we're heading into the season here. We've got through, the first and second wave of free agency, and we added some pieces there. Now we hit the draft, and we add some more pieces there that we like, and you feel pretty good about your team. Well, the 2025 Miami Dolphins are not in that situation this year. To me, as we sit here today on April 14th, This feels like 2019 all over again. And I made a joke in the article, but it's kind of true. The Miami Dolphins draft strategy in 2025 is like Noah's Ark. We need two of everything. They need at least two offensive linemen. They need at least two players for their secondary. They need two, probably three players for their defensive line. And if we're being honest, because of everything happening with Tyreek Hill, we probably need two more pass catchers, some combination wide receiver, tight end. This is Noah's Ark. The Dolphins need two of everything just to field a competent team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Now, getting back to the premise here, should you draft for need or best player available? If you're the Dolphins, you can literally throw a dart at your roster and you're going to hit a position of need. Because honestly, they could add one more quarterback, wouldn't hurt. Our starter always injured. Zach Wilson, since he's been in the league, has been a bust. They could, if they wanted to take one, not early, but if they did, I mean, who would question it at this point? Could use another quarterback for the quarterback room. Edge rusher. Jalen Phillips, uncertain time frame when he's going to return this year. Chubb is coming off his third ACL and took a major pay cut. Emmanuel Ogbah, he's no longer here. You got Chop Robinson this year with Phillips and Chubb. Who knows where they are health-wise and how much they got left in the tank. And looking, one step ahead of next year, you got Chop. You got nobody else. So literally every position's a need for the Dolphins. Cornerback, safety, they could use not just one at most of these spots, but multiple players at most of these spots. And you look around the league, even you look at teams, like the Patriots, who, aren't great, but they're on the come. And you look at some other teams like Cincinnati. Yeah, they have needs, but they don't have needs like this. This Dolphins team really, the past two seasons have lost a lot of quality players, whether it's the quote-unquote big-name guys like Christian Wilkins, Robert Hunt, Javon Holland, Xavier Howard, Kendall Fuller, Andrew Van Ginkel. They've lost a lot of guys, and they really have done a poor job of replacing them. I know if you look in the secondary alone, they've lost three starters in the secondary from last year's team, and last year's team in the secondary wasn't any good. So not only have they lost three of those starters, they've replaced them with nothing. I mean, no offense to Ashton Davis and Imeti Fedi Malafanu. I think I got that right. But they're career backups. They're not guys who should be starting. And if they're starting, that's going to be a big problem because they're not very good. So they got huge needs there. Then you look at the line, obviously, Zach Sealer, and pretty much that's it. No offense to the friends and family of Bonito Jones, but really not very good. They got one defensive lineman that you actually think is pretty good on your team. They got nothing else there. Look at the offensive line. They for some reason re-signed Liam. And then the best sign they had all offseason, the guy's coming off an Achilles injury, and who knows when he's coming back. It's just they have so many needs that I think Miami is actually in a unique position where need and BPA, best player available, actually line up because whoever they take, it's going to be a need. They could take an edge rusher. Well, it's not like a glaring need in 2025, but it's a need. So there's just so many needs on this roster and so many holes. I think the Miami Dolphins, they got 10 picks. 5 of them are on day 3, that's Saturday, which, okay, it's something, I guess. But really, only having 3 in the top 100 kind of hurts. And that third one's a pick 98. Really, at the start of round 4, because it's in the compensatory area of round 3. That's rough. I've been saying for weeks, if the Dolphins do one thing in this draft, is try to move, they got picks 116, 135, 150, 155. Package 1 or 2 if they have to, and get pick 98 up until like the 60s or 70s, because pick 98 is really late. And if they can get that towards the middle or top of round 3, it would do wonders, I think, for at least Miami coming away with 3 contributors in this draft. Maybe all not 3 starters year 1, but 3 guys who are going to play significant snaps. I think that would be a big, big deal. But, the core question is here. We know some needs are more important than others. And I think those 4 needs that are more important are defensive line, offensive line, cornerback, safety, no special order. So I guess my question is, should Miami prioritize those 4 special needs, the biggest needs, over going true BPA. Because if you go true BPA, then you got to stick to that and have that mindset and philosophy. Because what if, and these are realistic things that might happen. Running back Ashton Genty, a top 5 talent, say he falls to 13. Say teams in front of Miami get cold feet, don't want to take a running back here. I think I can wait. And he's there at 13. Well, if you're going BPA, F your needs. I don't care what they are. You take him. What if Tyler Warren and even a guy who's getting so much buzz right now, who a lot of these draft gurus, the real ones, the guys for ESPN, Sirius XM NFL Radio, the guys who have like a proven track record, are saying Colston Loveland is like a top 10 talent in this draft. Sirius XM NFL Radio, Jim Miller, Pat Kerwin, moving the chains. Two guys I respect immensely. I've been on with them before. Pat Kerwin's worked in NFL front offices for many, many, many years. He had in a mock draft last week, they each had Miami taking Colston Loveland at pick 13. You're sitting there probably listening to me right now going, that's stupid. Why would they do that? Why? Because if he's the 7th best player, regardless of position in this draft, and you're getting him at 13, that's a steal. And that's what drafting BPA is. You pretty much ignore your needs, and you're just drafting the best talent. I think fans say BPA, but if you draft BPA, you drop the button. You just take BPA. Teteroa McMillan, the number 1 wide receiver in this class. Most people have him going anywhere 10, 11, 12 in that range. Well, if he falls to 13, should Miami that's true BPA. And I think that's going to be really interesting to see what Chris Grier does. Because I don't know what Chris Grier will do, but I have a feeling if I had to bet a buck, he'll say he's going to draft BPA, but at the end of the day, he's going to draft for need. Because I think Chris Grier purposely ignored a few of these positions in free agency when he had money, purposely ignored them and said, we'll get him in the draft. And I think that was specifically with the defensive line in mind, and I even think cornerback in mind. Because, Miami, with what Armstead, what he did to his contract, with Chubb, what he did with his contract, the restructures, they have roughly, as of today, like $17 million in cap space. Roughly, some places say 13, some places say 17. Either way, we're in the ballpark of that. That's enough money to go out there and sign a veteran corner to a 1-year deal. That's enough money to go out there and sign a end or a tackle to put next to Zach Sealer to a veteran deal. They've done nothing. They've done nothing to make me think they're going to go into this draft and look to fill those needs. So, and again, they have so many needs that with picks in rounds 1 and 2, at least 13 and 48, if they just sit where they are and don't trade down, they're going to be able to fill needs and probably get guys who can come in year 1 and start. Now, should they start? That's a whole different conversation for a different day. But because I think Miami's roster is so thin at a few positions, they're going to get guys who can come in and start year 1. So I think, we're going to see him tilt his draft board to, the offensive line, corner, safety, and defensive line. Which makes it interesting is if someone like Tyler Warren, not so much the running back, because I don't think he's going to make it to 13. And if Tyler Warren would be the one, if he falls and he's on the board at 13, what does Chris Grier do? Because there is no doubt, no debate, Tyler Warren is like a top 5, 6 talent in this draft. Like, take away the position. Top 5 or 6 talent in this draft. And if you're sitting at 13, you can get one of the 5 or 6 best players in this draft. You take them. You take them. But Chris Grier has backed himself into a corner here with Mike McDaniel, his little partner in crime. They backed themselves into a corner where they have so many glaring needs at so many positions. They might lose out on someone who would be a Pro Bowl tight end for the next, 8 to 10 years, somewhat consistently, because they're going to be forced to take a guard or be forced to take a corner who might not be rated as high as Tyler Warren. So it's going to be interesting to see what Grier does. I do think at the end of the day, we kind of know Chris Grier, and he's going to, look at those premium positions, which will be cornerback, wide receiver, edge rusher. Not going to draft a quarterback, so I'm going to put that to the side. There's 5. Quarterback, let's put it to the side. So there's really 4. Offensive tackle, who, if he takes an offensive tackle, he has to take someone who can also play guard, because Patrick Paul can't move and play guard. So that would probably eliminate Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle from Ohio State, because he can't move either to inside the guard. So he would take an offensive tackle like Calvin Banks if he's there, because most people think he can move inside the guard. I don't think that the other two will be there, and Membo and Will Campbell. So I think we have to end that sort of pipe dream. Will Campbell sounds like 4 or 5 or 6. He's going to go. Membo shortly after. I don't see either one of them sliding past San Francisco, who's a few spots in front of us. So I think if you're Miami, someone like Calvin Banks would be like a realistic option there at 13. Again, though, but the 5 premium positions: quarterback, when I'm counting it, offensive tackle, wide receiver, edge rusher, corner. Well, for Miami, outside of quarterback, again, they're all needs. I mean, I know some people would say edge rusher not as pressing, but you can never have enough of them. And if you do plan on moving on from Chubb and Jalen Phillips after this year, especially with Jalen, not so much because you don't like him, just because so many injuries and how much is he going to cost or want, then edge is a need. So I just think he'll probably lean towards one of those spots, whether it's Will Johnson or Jahdae Barron at corner, whether it's Kelvin Banks offensive tackle, whether it's Jelon Walker, the edge rusher. That's where I think he's going to go in round 1. And when you get to pick 48, who the heck knows? Pick 48 is kind of a sweet spot for an offensive lineman or a defensive tackle. I think you want to get someone on the trenches at pick 48. Now, if you get an offensive lineman at pick 13 and you go defensive lineman at pick 48, you're looking pretty good there, honestly, because you just are helping build up your trenches where we know they have so many needs. So I think, the strategy they take is going to be interesting. But if you're one of those guys who want them to just draft BPA, I hear you. I'm kind of with you because I don't have a lot of hope for this upcoming 2025 season, let's just say. And I'm thinking about the big picture long term, and I'd rather just get as many good players as possible, be damned the position. But I think Greer is going to go premium position, which, at least in Miami's case, does fill a need because they have so many holes. Again, Noah's Ark draft strategy. They need 2 of everything. They maybe not everything, but you get my point. They need 2 defensive linemen. They need two people for the secondary, 2 pass catchers, 2 people for, either nose tackler, and they just need 2 of everything. And it's just, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting weekend next week. Before we get to the second part of today's show, shout out to everyone listening at finheaven.com. Everyone go to finheaven.com, largest Miami Dolphins message board on the internet. Excuse me. Also, a shout out to our friends at the I Am a Miami Dolphins Fan Facebook page, run by the very talented Carlos Hernandez. If you're on Facebook, please be sure you are part of the I Am a Miami Dolphins Fan Facebook page. And wherever you're listening to this podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Podbean, Podchaser, or one of the other 100 or 200 platforms are on, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. We're going to have shows every day this week. I got a couple big surprises for later in the week that you're really going to like. So be on the lookout for that. All right. Last topic on today's show. This freaking offensive line. This has been a pain in the ass for the Miami Dolphins for far too many years. And, it seems like once a week now, I just look at the depth chart and I just say to myself, how did we get here? Like, how are we in this situation again in late April with just a horrible looking offensive line? And, then I look at drafts, like mock drafts from, once again, the good people, Mel Kiper, Daniel Jeremiah, and I see where they got guys approximately going. I look at the overall draft rankings from people like Matt Miller of ESPN and stuff, see his top 60, top 100, all that stuff. And I'm just going, how did we get here? And how do we fix this once and for all? And you look at this Dolphins offensive line on April 14th, and I don't think it's going to change much per se. They have so many question marks, and they're going to have so many question marks heading into the season. Miami right now has question marks at both starting tackle positions. One guy, Patrick Paul, is totally unproven. We're hoping for the best, but got to just call it like it is. He's unproven. The other tackle, Austin Jackson, in the past 3 years, one season he played 2 games, one season he played 8 games, and you just can't trust him. He's always injured. So both tackle spots, Miami has major questions. Now, who's their second string tackle should they get hurt? Larry Borum. And if you want to watch like a horror movie, find Larry Borum offensive tackle snaps with the Chicago Bears. It's fugly. I mean, it's fugly. It's just not good. So offensive tackle, Miami's got question marks across the board. We know Austin Jackson, when he's healthy, is pretty good. I'd say slightly above average. Problem is he's never healthy. So I can't even sort of hand him that compliment. He's always hurt. So offensive tackle, Dolphins got question marks. Let's go to guard. James Daniels. Okay, great signing. Guy's coming off an Achilles injury. I mean, and I know what they said, the Dolphins. He should be ready by June. These are the same Dolphins who, when they signed Isaiah Wynn last year, said, don't worry, he'll be back by the start of the year. He didn't come back to like week 15 or so. And then when they signed Odell Beckham Jr., like he could be ready for week 1. We're just putting him on PUP to be extra cautious. PUP, I almost never took him off PUP. And when they did eventually, he looked like a shell of his former self. So sorry if I don't take the Dolphins at their word when they say, don't worry about James Daniels and coming off an Achilles. Needless to say, huge question mark at one guard spot. The other guard spot, they just re-signed Liam Eichenberg. Like they have given up on the other guard spot. Like Liam's good enough when we know Liam ain't good enough. So, and then who's behind those two guards? One of them being Liam, one of them being a guy coming off an Achilles. You got nobody. They have no backup guards. Yes, they got guys on the roster, but they have nobody who's any good. So then you got question marks at both starting tackles, question marks at your backup offensive tackle, question marks at both starting guards, and question marks at your backup starting guards. Well, at least we got a center, Aaron Brewer, that checks one box. Needless to say, on April 14th, and this is not going to change with any rookie they take. So if you're one of those people saying, well, let's wait for the draft to play out, I don't care which rookie they take, it's still a rookie. This is by far the single worst offensive line in the NFL, and that probably ain't going to change heading into the 2025 season. It blows my mind. We are back in this predicament again, another year. And here's the kicker. They have, like I said, roughly, all depending on who you believe, 13 to 17 million bucks to spend. And there are a couple veteran free agent guards who could come in and help you right away. Brandon Sheriff, Will Hernandez, are they perfect scheme fits? No. Sheriff is a little bit old. I get it. Will Hernandez might not be a perfect scheme fit, but they're better than Liam Eichenberg, and they're better than any backup we have. And the fact that they are sitting here with this money and they haven't signed one, it's head scratching. Now, I know some of you are probably yelling at your phone or yelling at your car radio, however you're listening. Well, they're going to wait till after the draft and sign them. Great. Let's see if they actually do. Because to me, the smarter play would be sign them before the draft. So then in the draft, you have like one less thing you have to worry about. But I guess they're going to say, well, let's just see how the draft plays out. And then if we still need them, it's just, this offensive line is so bad. And and again, even if they did sign Sheriff, and even if they did draft round 1, Kelvin Banks, or by some miracle Will Campbell fall, it's like still going to be a ton of questions on this offensive line that I cannot believe we're in the same situation again for another year. And like they knew Armstead wasn't coming back, and if he was, he wasn't going to be on Miami. Mike McDaniel admitted it 2 seconds into his press conference at the NFL Combine that first week of March. Like, we've made plans to move on without him. So even if he wanted to come back, you knew. And that was prior to free agency. So once again, draft strategy. What does Miami do? I know it makes logical sense at pick 13 to go cornerback or defensive tackle or edge rusher to build up your front seven in some capacity, or to add a piece in the secondary that you need badly. Like, that makes the most sense, because say what you want about the offensive line. You can at least, they have warm bodies at least. They have no warm bodies on the defensive line. They have no warm bodies at corner. I'm sorry, Storm Duck, nice man. I find Cam Smith's they have nothing outside of Ramsey and nobody else on the other side. Offensive line, they got warm bodies, and you can sit there, light candles, say your prayer, hold a rosary every night and say Patrick Paul's going to be decent. Austin Jackson will stay healthy. James Daniels will be okay at one spot at guard, and he'll come back healthy. And we'll figure out, like, you can say that prayer, but on defense, you can't say that prayer because they literally have nobody. So the logical play for Miami at pick 13 and probably even pick 48 is to go defense in some capacity. Round 1, to take one of the corners. Round 2, take a nose tackle or whatever, like an end or like whatever. That's like the smart play. But I look at this offensive line, and it is so friggin' bad that you can make the justification that, look, let's be honest, 2025, we're not going to make a run towards the Super Bowl. We're not going to pass the Bills. Let's solve this dang offensive line problem once and for all. Round 1, Kelvin Banks. Round 2, we'll see who's there. You got Donovan Jackson. Maybe he falls in your lap. I don't know. Maybe you take the kid from Arizona whose last name I can't pronounce and I'm not going to try. You just take a tackle and a guard and you say, we can put those two guys in there with Patrick Paul and Austin Jackson and Aaron Brewer and hopefully James Daniels comes back. And now we got some youth to mix in with what we got. And we're going to fix this offensive line this year. And yes, we still need corner. We still need tackles. We still need safeties. You know what? From round 3 on, we'll worry about those positions. Let's just pick the first 2 picks, 13-48. Let's just fix this offensive line once and for all, and we'll worry about everything else after the fact. If they did that and kicked the can down the road on all their needs on defense, I actually wouldn't be upset at this point. It's not how I would have addressed this offseason. It's not what I would do. But at some point, they have to fix this goddamn offensive line. And they can do it with their first 2 picks this year. It just means they have a mess on defense. But this offseason's kind of been a mess with everything happening with Tyreek Hill and his drama and how their free agency period that was really, really uninspiring with who they signed. Yeah, I mean, you can make a case for it. And I wouldn't be mad if they did it. I don't think they'll do it, but I wouldn't be mad if they did it because this offensive line right now on paper sucks. It really sucks. And no, Chris Grier, a week after the draft, re-signing Isaiah Wynn will not get anyone excited, okay? That's another guy who can't stay healthy either. Even if they do bring him back to compete with Liam, oh boy, talk about Groundhog's Day. Jesus Christ almighty. Yeah, so offensive line. This is the worst offensive line in the NFL. Like, it's really bad. And because there's just so many variables with James Daniels, Patrick Paul, Austin Jackson. Aaron Brewer is the only consistent constant that they have. Other than that, I don't know how Mike McDaniel sleeps at night. I don't know how Tua Tagovailoa sleeps at night. I don't know how Chris Grier sleeps at night because they said at their end-of-year press conference they wanted to address the offensive line. Well, they've done a piss-poor job of it, and if they're banking on rookies, Godspeed. Godspeed. That's all I got to say. Oh, that's all for today's show. I'll be back Tuesday evening with Dante Colonelli for part 4 and our final part of our draft preview, talking about cornerbacks, safeties, and middle linebackers on that show. And I got, like I said, some more surprises for the podcast coming up later this week you won't want to miss. Also, check out the website, DolphinsTalk.com. Ton of great new articles up there that you don't want to miss. A lot of content. We have so many great writers who are putting out great work. Go to the website, DolphinsTalk.com, read them because they're just doing great, amazing stuff. And wherever you follow us on social media, whether it's Twitter, X, TikTok, Instagram, what else are we on? We're on Blue Sky and, of course, YouTube, which counts as social media, I think. Be sure to go to that platform, search at Dolphins Talk, follow us. Follow us at all of our social media channels. And again, Dolphins Talk Extra, patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. This Friday night, it's filled up. You can't participate. But if you're a Dolphins Talk Extra member, you can tune in and watch live. We're having our interactive mock draft. We got 15 general managers. Each general manager has 2 teams. A couple have 3 just to make it work out. Or a couple have, 3. And we're going to do a mock draft, round 1. And myself, Josh Aaron, and someone's going to come out with this one. So everyone's been assigned 2 teams. I've been assigned the Raiders and the Packers. So I'm the general manager for the Raiders and Packers, and everyone's been assigned 2 teams. And when it's their turn to pick, they're going to come on live with us right here. They're going to make their pick, tell us why they picked them. Then they go away, on with the next person. They make their pick. And it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. It's just lighthearted. But again, like I said, Dolphins Talk Extra, a private message board, so it's not as crazy as like Twitter and Facebook where people are jumping on your back, cursing you out for having an opinion. Bonus podcasts, some about the Dolphins, some not about the Dolphins. We do a lot of shows talking whatever. WrestleMania is next weekend. I'm going to do shows, probably a WrestleMania prediction show. Then I'll do a WrestleMania wrap-up show after it's over. We have pro wrestling shows. Myself and Aaron the Brain like to do television shows about shows that we're watching, reality TV, maybe some non-reality TV. NBA playoffs are about to pick up. Probably do some stuff around that. Major League Baseball. So we got podcasts on all that stuff. Plus, we do bonus podcasts on the Dolphins that we don't give away to everybody. So you got, if you just looking for more stuff from us here and our crew, Dolphins Talk Extra, patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. $3 a month. You cannot beat the price. You spend more on that on coffee, folks. And this gives you all these perks and bonuses. Plus, like I said, when we have a cool contest where we give away a Mercury Morris autographed jersey, a Tua or Tyreek bobblehead doll, or more cool prizes coming along the way, you're automatically entered. You don't have to do anything else. You're just entered in the contest, and you have a chance to win just amongst the extra subscribers. So it's not like it's like a 1 in like 10,000 chance of winning. It's just amongst all the Dolphins Talk Extra subscribers. Patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. Everyone have a great rest of your Monday night. Have a great Tuesday. We'll talk to you again after a while. And folks, don't forget, we still must put an end to highway profanity. Hey guys, Mike here from DolphinsTalk.com. Just want to thank you for watching this video today. Please be sure to like and subscribe to this video. And also just thank you in general. I know you have a lot of other podcast options out there these days, whether it's with the Miami Dolphins or about the Miami Dolphins, and with non-Miami Dolphins podcast stuff like true crime, politics, NBA, Major League Baseball. We do appreciate the support you guys provide us, and we do thank you for watching our content. We appreciate it more than you'll ever know. So thank you so much. Just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And also, don't forget to sign up for our Patreon service. Go to patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. And for just $3 a month, you will get more Miami Dolphins coverage and shows. Patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. Thank you again, and everyone have a great day.